I actually wanted to be an astronaut. So I was in elementary and middle school during the 1960s. And of course, that was right after President Kennedy had set the nation's goal to get men on the moon by the end of the decade. And so I followed the Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, all the original astronauts, and I knew a lot about all of them and really aspired to be one of them. Oh, well, gosh, probably the most exciting thing that I got to do was I was the Assistant Secretary of Agriculture for Congressional Relations in the Clinton administration. And the job for the Assistant Secretary for Congressional Relations was to meet with the folks at the White House in the President's office and explain what the legislative agenda for the Department of Agriculture was going to be, and then go up to Capitol Hill and work with members of Congress to try to actually get those initiatives adopted into law. And so getting to meet every week in the White House and getting to go in and out of the Oval Office and the Roosevelt Room and all those kind of things, that was pretty fun. Well, when I was really young, of course, my mentors were my mother and father and a few key teachers. And there are three teachers that really had a huge impact on me. In high school, it was Suzanne Taylor, who was the speech and government teacher. And she's probably one of the reasons that I started refocusing and thinking about law and government. And then when I got to undergraduate school, Dr. Bill Hicks was the primary political science pre-law professor that I had, and he was just a wonderful mentor. And then in law school, Carolyn Ellis Staten, who was one of my law faculty members. And those were really the three, other than my mother and father. For me, the hardest classes were, well, one in particular in undergraduate school and one in law school. And they're kind of similar when I look back on it. In undergraduate school, I took accounting because as a part of pre-law, that was a recommended thing, just to take your first year of accounting.
Oh, I don't math.
And I had I'm really good at math. I'm really good at math. I scored off the charts on the ACT and that kind of thing. And I won the National Math Exam Award at my high school. So I'm really good at math.
Wow.
But accounting, there were some concepts that just didn't make any sense to me. And I really thought about, after the first 6 weeks, I thought about dropping the course because I said, I'm just not getting it. There's something I'm not seeing. Other people in the class were clearly, figuring out. And my professor encouraged me to stick it out. And literally just a couple of weeks after that, a light bulb came on. It was like, oh, I get what they're trying to say. And after that, it was actually quite easy. But it was a real mental block. And I may have carried that on with me then into law school because when I was in law school, introduction to income tax was required, to income tax law was required. It's no longer at most law schools required. And I waited because I had that block. I thought it was going to be like accounting. And I waited literally until my last semester of law school to take it. And I did have a mental block, and the light bulb never did come on. And I got my worst grade in law school in that class. I went into that semester ranked #1 in my law school class. I came out of that class ranked #5, which is still really good, but it brought me down 5 spots. And I love now getting to visit with the professor who taught me that class and let her know that. I never let her forget that. Karen Green, I'll never forget. She just retired. And every time I see her, I tell her, I said, you're the reason that I was #5 in the class. Well, so I was first in legal education, and how I first ended up at Texas Wesleyan was as dean of our law school. And I was dean of the law school from 2003 to 2006. And I had been at 4 other law schools. When I got into legal education, after I left government, I got into legal education. And I've been at 4 other law schools as Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. And I'd reached a point in my career that I was interested in the possibility of becoming the dean of a law school. And I applied to a number of schools, and I got to be honest with you, I just felt more at home with the faculty and the students at Texas Wesleyan. One of the other schools was a school in Minnesota, and I did not feel at home there. I'll just be very honest. My wife also, her mother, she's from Mississippi, but her mother was from San Antonio, and they used to come to Texas every year, at least 2 or 3 times a year.